We can actually make this into like just like a regular grill, you know, and just look like that because it's basically the same size. The handle's just different.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're drilling to the wall, then it would be easier just to do that, you know, or like just to kind of like dive on like this. But I'm not sure.
There's also those newer trim routers that are also available now. I don't know if they have them in here, but it's basically like the same style as this, but it's much more smaller and it'll fit more like in your palm.
Oh,
It's more closer to the ground like that. So you're
yeah, that's very nice. A lot of space. I was like wondering what, you know, how much of this we actually need space up, and then how much of it is actually for obvious ventilation. You know, because I think one thing we could note for sure is that the most important thing is this heat that this thing produces. And it's producing a lot of heat. So although I feel like this we can get rid of because it's so empty, but then it probably serves a bigger purpose of heat reduction. So I think that's one thing that's feels like it's more appropriate in the design than anything else. It's large vents.
I'm sure when we open it up, we'll be able to.
Yeah. And I think all these lines obviously go together for the design purpose. You know, it just flows better with it, makes it a whole. You see, we have just little spikes and all black. So aesthetically, probably wouldn't look good. I just freaking hate this handle. The handle come up.
Yeah, you just undo those screws. And what I actually like about this one better than that little quick, I think you gotta actually pull them out. Yeah, undo it all the way and pull them out. Is that like, it kind of lends itself more to people that like to make their own modifications. You know, like if you have that quick detached handle, you're limited to specifically how that handle hinges and works in there. But at least with this, it's like, if I want to mount that up to a different type of a handle or mount it up to a wall or something, I don't need to worry about getting like those U-bolts. I can just use those mounting points that are already on there.
What else can you use for this?
Well, I've seen guys make homemade CNC machines using these Rotozips. By the way.
Show a picture with the upper handle.
I think the reason they had it that other way is more for, when I was watching their videos, they rarely used that handle when they were cutting on regular surfaces. The only time I saw them use that handle was for tight spaces where they couldn't really put their hand on the body and on the top. So like, if you're doing the ceiling or if you're like in a cabinet area and you're trying to do it, you would be hanging on to the handle.
So yeah, it seems like the purpose of this is a lot more. Not like I would go like this. Yeah, definitely would be like.
So when they're cutting like this, they just use it with a hand around it?
One on the top, which I thought was strange because, I mean, that's one thing I feel like it doesn't really communicate the proper grips and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the way I always use it is that I see this handle, so I'm thinking, okay, logically I need to be holding on the handle, and then I would be holding onto it like this.
Yeah.
Never occurred to me to be holding it like that. So I actually don't know how it feels cutting holding it like this, because the way I always do it is I lock my arms and then I'll rock my body backward in either directions that I want to move it, so I'm not moving my arms.
How precise can you get with this? When you're actually doing that.
I don't know, these cuts right here were done with Rotozip, but I mean, none of these were real lines on them. But I mean, if we have a pencil, we can just put some lines on it and plug it in and use it. And you can see just exactly how hard it is to control if you haven't used it before.
Is it hard?
It's a little bit difficult, yeah, because like I said, because when the bit's rotating, it wants to like climb in a certain direction. Hey Jordan, if we want to try using the Rotozip, should we go in there and do it?
Plug it in right there.
Okay.
There's an outlet. I like this expander.
Might need an extension cord.
If you go in the back room, there are outlets right next to the workbench.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured the hood was there, so I wasn't sure if that's good.
Yeah, I can turn it on if you want. If you're gonna make a lot of stuff
Sure. Thank you. The one thing I like about this tool though is that it's the most quietest tool out of everything I have. So if I'm working late at night, that's the thing I use for doing all my cutting. So I really need it for doing like a lot of the straight cuts and stuff. But it's just not that great for doing straight cuts freehand. You know, you kind of need to set up a whole guide and everything.
Oh, you do?
But I think it'll get louder when you start to cut into something. Here's some clamps. I don't think they're big enough for the table though.
Let's try this kind of deal loud here. I'm sure it's pretty loud.
I like this.
The good thing about it is that with that glass there, it's shooting all the sawdust out over at you. And the glass is protecting stuff from coming out too. And you can actually see your work area that's just blowing all that coming out.
So that means that no matter what, you can never use it with your hand on top. What I was noticing is this. All the hair comes out. It's really soft. I think that's a big benefit on that. Because then, like, as you were saying, the cover's on here, so it definitely creates a vortex and they're shooting all the air out. So that's kind of cool. Where this, everything is blowing out here. Why do you want that? You know what I mean? I kind of prefer this design where the air would be sucked in from here and then shot off from the bottom.
My main issue with just having the air come out of the bottom is just when you're working with it, you're always constantly changing your position and whatnot, and then you start getting all that sawdust blown right in your face. Like even when the glass is on, you're getting dust in your eyes.
What do you mean? When it blows down, it would be a bad idea?
Well, I mean, just because the dust that's being kicked up from the blade and then gets mixed in with the turbulence from that air, and then a lot of times it's just focused right on your face.
Right. So you think it would be better to point it down?
Deflect it, yeah, in some fashion or
Like this guy?
Containment, yeah.
Where the air is popping out of these. It's a direct tunnel right into it.
Oh, I didn't know it was something.
Yeah, I thought it was from the spin, but it's actually when I covered this, there's no airflow anymore. So it's straight out of here. So it means that this one you can never really like do that. Yeah, it's always going to be with these handles, no matter what.
And that's one thing also that I like about routers is with their handles being down at the bottom point, you're not causing the tool to tip around. Like if they had a base where like the handle was down here, I could be dragging the tool and not be worried about whether or not it's perpendicular like this. Because when I have the handle on here and I'm trying to cut, a lot of times the tool will get caught on like the wood because of how rough it is, and then all of a sudden it'll tip, and now I've got this cockeyed cut
Yeah.
going on.
Oh, you need a pen? I don't know.
Yeah, paper.
I have a little notepad. Because it's so small, they have to get rid of all that stuff. But then, you know, one of your sketches, I like how you actually had a vacuum or something where it was collecting the sawdust and stuff like that. Because if this isn't really a big tool, then you're not going to do a lot of work on it like these guys. So if you have have a small little collection area, then maybe that's all you need for a project with this kind of tool, you know. So, like with her, she actually had like a collection area for
It's like
that goes
a
into the
sander,
handle.
you know, like you
Yeah.
have those little bags.
So maybe we can like eliminate the sawdust that way, where you actually have a vacuum or something like that, or just we can actually aim the bins downward, but have it aimed to where like it'll go into the collection area. But I'm not sure, like if that's gonna be too much work or too much of a design.
I don't think that's too much work at all, because like I said, that fan that's already in there, you just add some plates to the bottom and you have a vacuum.
Okay.
Nice. Ones that I had, they all seem like they were tightening down all the way. It's like, the damn thing's so loose. So, if you break a bit, no worries, it happens. That's another thing is I noticed people were complaining about is the broken bits. And usually, like, you can also look at some of these that are, yeah, I save them because it's like the bit's so good up here, so if I'm cutting some thin wood, I'll still be able to use it. But like, if you look at them, there's some black on it from where they heated up at. And that's from going too fast. Like, I'm trying to push the tool faster than what it's able to cut, and then that's usually where it also snaps at.
Question, why would you use these instead of a blade, like a blade?
Like a jigsaw.
Yeah.
I think it's just for the fact that you can be able to change